I will give this movie...
What? You are literally the worst grader of all time. He just makes... Oh my God. Bro.
Wow.
That's insane.
The disrespect.
That's insane. Please explain.
And we're live. Today, we're going to be watching Killers of the Flower Moon. It is a film by Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. And what's the other guy's name? Fat Damon. I hate that Hollywood has normalized it because he's a really good actor. You know, I saw him in Breaking Bad for the first time. I've seen him in a couple other things before that. The dude is good. He just kind of looks like Matt Damon, but just in an albino and fatter way.
What's his name? Jesse something?
It's Jesse something. How terrible is that?
Jesse with Jesse P. I know his last name starts with a P.
Jesse P. We'll call him Jesse P. because Fat Damon is just awful. This dude deserves the respect.
It's just funny that when I looked
We're still not giving him the respect he deserves, but he does deserve the respect.
I just thought it was funny whenever you told me about that. I'm like, what? They call him that? And I looked up on Google Fat Damon, and his image was the first one that popped up. Yeah. I was like, wow, that is a thing.
Yeah. And he is playing an intricate role. I cannot remember the name of the character he's playing.
Bro, you read the book.
Yeah, I finished it 3 weeks ago. My memory is not the sharpest.
3 weeks ago?
I'd like to say that his name's John White. That could be completely...
That's a basic-ass name.
That could be completely wrong. In fact, I'm already starting to think that it's completely wrong.
It's nowhere close.
But he is playing the main investigator into the murders of the people that are living okay, so let's backtrack, okay?
You read the book, so you're an expert on the story, correct?
I should be, correct?
I should be.
Read a book.
Keyword, should be.
Read a book, all of a sudden you're an expert. So the movie is about an Indian tribe during the 1920s, or really the history goes back to forever. But it's an Indian tribe in the 1920s, and essentially, they keep getting booted off of the land that they were living in. Booted off by the U.S. government. And they finally get booted onto this land called something. They're in Oklahoma. But they land on an oil reserve, and it's just leaking oil. And so in the 1920s in the United States of America, these are the richest people in the country. They're one of the richest people in the world at this point.
Right.
Life is good for them. They find, they've been suffering for years at this point, but now they are wealthy. They're well established. They're, very close connected with their family, but they also just have so much money. And then all of a sudden, people just start dying and dying and dying. And there's a lot of very easily seen murders, but then there's a lot of people just dying in hospitals, and they came to find out that it was through poison that these people were dying. And they come to realize that people that the Indians made friends with, mainly white people, the Indians thought that they were helping them. They actually were a part of this ginormous plot, this ginormous, intricate, evil, twisted plot to get them off the land so the white people could pretty much take over. And so it's how the FBI was formed, and that's where Fat Damon comes into mind. Sorry, we're calling him Jesse P. That's where Jesse P's character comes into mind.
Let's give this man some justice. You can keep talking, though. You can keep talking.
Jesse P's character is the one that the President of the United States at the time hired to lead the investigation into what exactly is going on, because there are so many of these people on this land that just keep dying. It is terrible. And that's what it is.
So Fat Damon is the FBI guy?
Yes,
he is. The FBI guy is played by Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons. Okay. Great actor. And
he's definitely usually the bad guy that you hate.
He usually plays
Breaking Bad.
Psycho.
He sucks in Breaking Bad. You hate him.
But you love him because he's just
Did you? I don't remember. I thought we hated him.
No. You hate him because he's a terrible, terrible person.
But you love to hate him?
Yeah, like you're just like, damn. Because in Breaking Bad, he's like he's got like this childish innocence about him in the way like of his demeanor. Just the way that he like goes about everything. Like even the way that he kills people. Like I remember in Breaking Bad, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen it, but he kills Jesse Pinkman's like girlfriend at the time.
He like strangles her or something,
No,
right?
he shoots her right at the doorstep in front of Jesse Pinkman. He makes Jesse like wait in the car and like, you know, because Jesse's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And they're like, well, you have to keep doing this. And if you don't, this is what's going to happen. So he goes up to Jesse's girlfriend at the time and he's just like, hey, it's nothing personal. And like just shoots her. And he's like, he says it in the way it's just like, sorry, like my bad. And like it's just, so he's good at playing like that kind of psychotic killer.
Yeah, just pure evil, you know, has no realization that what he's doing is horrible.
But in this movie, the character that he's portraying, again, don't want to get the name wrong, but the character himself is just, he sticks to the law. Like if it's against the law, it doesn't mean that, you know, you might have been doing the right thing or whatever. Like if it's against the law, you're going down. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But he's like a very noble person. Like he's well respected amongst like
but he's
the community of lawmen.
He's a stickler.
He's a stickler. Like he'll give you a ticket if you're going 5 over in today's time.
So you were close on the naming of him. It was Tom White.
I corrected myself.
Oh, did you? I didn't hear you.
Or
Sorry.
you know what? I might have corrected myself in my mind, but I was too scared to be wrong twice.
Yeah.
Tom White. And
it's the worst listening back to yourself, just saying the completely wrong thing with full confidence.
Yep. And then, okay, so Leonardo DiCaprio is playing the character of a guy that's married to a woman who is just incredibly wealthy.
Yeah, she's a Native American person.
She's Native American, and she's like one of the wealthiest people pretty much in the country at this point. And he's married to her. And they have kids, everything. And Robert De Niro is playing the uncle of Leo's character. And the uncle, you come to find out, is the one that's like the head of everything. And it gets very twisted. A lot of murders. And I'm talking a lot. And so it's going to be exciting. Personally, I didn't like the book that much because it was
a fictional book, non-fiction book.
Just straight nonfiction. Like all you're getting is pretty much like the investigative reports going on at that point. Martin Scorsese is going to bring like the dramatization out of it.
Yeah, so it's interesting to hear your take after the fact of seeing what's the like from the factual story that you know. How did Scorsese, art it up?
Yeah, but you could probably say the same thing for The Wolf of Wall Street. I'm sure the book that Jordan Belfort wrote, like I'm sure it was good, because like I mean that whole lifestyle is insane to like really talk about. But in that book, it's just like his point of view, factually, what he saw, what he thought. But Martin Scorsese like brought it to the screen, and you actually got to see what it looks like. And that's the thing about investigative reports or personal memoirs about this. Like it's just their perspective, and they're not the best storytellers, but Martin Scorsese is one of the greatest directors to ever hit us in the face with a movie. And so I know that the story is nuts. It's just the way that it was written in the book that I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I also respected it because like there was no bias. There was no story. There was no like dwelling on like
it was just straight
stories.
Facts.
Like it's just straight facts, and it is crazy, like what we're about to see, like on the big screen. So, anyways, that was a very long intro. I'm gonna immediately just give it back to you, please. Please take it from me, please.
Going back to Martin Scorsese, I was listening to an interview with him. He was talking on something. I don't remember. I think maybe it would have been, it just came out. It was like Timothée Chalamet and Martin Scorsese having a conversation.
It's because they just did a big Chanel commercial.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They just did like a really big Chanel commercial, and now they're like kind of promoting it in a way.
Okay. Yeah. So they were talking just about movies in general, and Timothy was asking him a lot of questions. And so Scorsese mentioned after Timothy Chalamet told him, he said, hey, one of our shoots that we did together, maybe it was a movie. I don't remember. Was he in a Scorsese movie?
No, he's not been. But like this is their first time collabing.
Well, he said it was so impressive how quickly the shoot went. He said it was so efficient. And Scorsese's like, yeah, well, every single shot's pre-planned. Like every single frame, not frame, but shot of the movie is thought out. Like they write it out. They think, okay, so what color should the lights be? Okay, how dark should it be? All right, what should he be wearing? All right, how should his hair be? Okay, why is he wearing that? Why is his hair like that? Why is it like that color? Every little detail of the shot, they're thinking about it. And of course, as you go day of, something's changed and it kind of, some beautiful accidents happen. Sometimes you miss some things, but essentially every single frame of his movies are thought out and drawn out before they even shoot the movie. Isn't that insane? I mean, that just shows you exactly what
his vision is just insane.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you know that man's a great. Like that's what you know. That's how you know what you need to aspire to and be able to do to become great.
Yeah. Yep. But on that note, what's your favorite Marty movie so far?
Oh, definitely Goodfellas.
The Departed. But
yeah, hold on. Take that back. I'm not thinking about it. All of his movies. The Wolf of Wall Street is my favorite of his.
Okay. It's a great one.
I was thinking of older ones. I'm like, wait, what about the new ones?
No. The Wolf of Wall Street is legendary. I myself love The Departed.
No, it's hard to pick that over The Departed.
Every single scene in that movie is incredible. Like every written part of the dialogue, like the actor choices, everything. The ending. It's The Departed for me, hands down. He's a legend.
Okay, I got to watch The Departed again because it's been a while since I've seen it.
So talk about a movie I've seen over 10 times.
Okay.
That's my movie.
Yeah, I got to watch that one again. We got to do that one for an episode.
I would love to do that one for an episode. But
okay, if you love that movie, let's do one where me and you show Mercedes that movie because she's never seen it.
Would love to.
All right.
Because she's going to love it. It's just one of those movies where it's not even an argument. Yeah. Everybody that sees that movie is going to be like, wow, that is cinema.
It's kind of like Django Unchained. Like, I don't know a single person that ever said Django wasn't a good movie.
Yeah, like how,
Every time somebody's like, all right, you like movies, what's your favorite movie? I'm like, oh, Django Unchained. They go, oh, yeah, that's a good one. Everybody has said that. Not one person has said, oh, really? Or, oh, I don't like that movie.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever said that.
And I think what makes a movie like that is the dialogue, for me. I think seeing characters interact and like you kind of forget that it's a movie. It's like you're just watching people really talk and interact and like it's so natural and it flows so well and you can tell that it's because the writing is just too damn good. Yeah. And I could say the same thing about Django Unchained. Like you just kind of fall in love with like
it's entertaining.
Well, you just fall in love with the fact that like you understand all of these people's minds. Like in the movie, and they make it very well known, like by the way that they talk and act, and
their philosophy, who they are. Their
their characters, and that's just it's hard to do that in a movie. I think that's one of the harder parts about making a movie is like getting the audience invested in the characters, not so much the story, because like you don't know what the story's gonna be, but then you start understanding who the characters are, and you can like kind of have fun while watching the movie. You're like, oh, well, I think they're going to do this. I think they might kill so-and-so, or I think they're going to act in this way. Like, it's just, and so The Departed is like a great way of like depicting that. For me. Like every single character in that movie, you're so invested in like what they do and say. And that is to me like making a movie. And so that's why I'm excited about Killers of the Flower Moon, because even after reading the book, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, you can tell from the book that he has like a conflict of interest because he's involved in these schemes, spoiler alert. But he's also married and like he is in love with her.
Yeah, just portraying.
Yeah, like but he does like fall in love with her and like regrets everything that he ends up doing. But at the same time, he's a fucking psychopath because he did actually follow through with it. And so I'm excited for you to see this movie. I'm excited to see this movie. I think I have high hopes for Martin Scorsese. I know I usually don't go into movies with like a bias, but
So you say.
So I say. But going into this movie, I think it's going to be great.
I think it's going to be good. I got high hopes for it too. So I've heard somebody say that it was trash. Not trash, but I heard somebody say that it was so slow and boring. And I've heard other people say that it was kind of quicker paced. So I don't know. We'll see.
You can hear it from us
in literally a couple seconds. And we're back. We just watched
Killers of the Flower Moon.
So how much different was that than the book? Did everything in the book that was important happen in the movie?
Absolutely. But it dove deeper into the points of the book where I was like, damn, I wonder like what the human aspect of that was. Like, what did that look like? I'm trying to think of like the first instance that I thought of where I was like, yeah, like, thank God that they're finally like showing that on screen, where how painful that must have been. And honestly, the first part of it was Anna's murder. The book? Yeah. The sister of Mollie. It's the first like big murder of like one of the richest people of their people. And I mean, they described it in a very telling way. But like, you don't get like the human pain.
Yeah, you don't realize how fucked up that is.
Yeah, like you don't realize like how awful it is to see that your sister was like shot in the face and like you can't give her an open casket funeral. That was like
because they sawed and chopped her up.
Yeah, and like
to hide the fact.
Yeah,
right. To hide where the bullet
was. They chopped the body in pieces. Yeah. And so, like, they did a great job of like showing how awful that is, because like you see Mollie's character, she's having to sit there and listen to the doctors like, shh.
Everybody's there. There's like no privacy. Everybody's hanging out watching their sister and family member get chopped up.
You could pretty much say that those are just the times.
No.
But essentially, like, that's just not how it was supposed to be done.
No.
And they say that they're like doing it to look for the bullet, but the bullet obviously went through her head. So there's no way that the bullet's just going to be in her body.
Yeah, no. No, if there's a clean exit wound, they're not going to fucking dig through the head.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that it's so fucked up, but what's the main bad guy? What's his name? King what?
William Hale. Bill Hale.
Bill?
Or, as they talk to him throughout the movie, they call him King.
Yeah, all right. King, it's crazy how he's got himself to believe that he's doing something that's good.
All right,
he's like, I'm trying to keep the family's money together. Like this is
the religious twist.
Yeah, it's like that cult leader, just like, no, trust me. Like this is the way. This is what's the best for everybody.
He keeps telling people, he was like, hey, they're not gonna make it much longer, and that's through the grace of God. But really, he is the only person in charge of all of these murders. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, like, most of the murders were linked to the fact that they were like slowly poisoning a lot of these people. And you get to see that in a good portion of the movie.
Yeah, it's so I mean, going back to the beginning of the movie, it's so crazy to see all the white people there trying to just like serve and, you know, oh, here, I'll help you out. Oh, you need this? I can do that for you, because they're all just trying to get their money.
Yeah.
And you notice whenever they had the funeral for the sister, I think it was, they were overcharging on everything for the funeral because they just know that the Indians have so much money.
Which was talked about in the book.
Yeah, and so
heavily, yeah.
I saw a clip of somebody talking about when they first got there, the Indian nations didn't understand money. They didn't use that kind of currency or like to trade stuff. They traded. They didn't use currency. Like they didn't understand how much $1 was or how much 50 cents was or whatever it was. So when somebody would pull up and say, hey, if you want this water, I'll sell it to you for $1. Like, okay, sure. You come back the next day like, hey, I'll sell you this water bottle for $10. Like, okay, sure, I don't care. because they don't understand what the thing is. So they start charging you $100 for a bottle of water, and you have no idea because you have just no concept of money in your culture.
Which is shown in the beginning of the movie when they're like kind of breaking down the town. In like the first intro scene, you see the car salesman pulling up and saying like, "Please, I'm begging you to please buy this car. My wife, like, she's so sick. Like, I can't afford the doctors, like, take care of her anymore." It's done at the very beginning of the movie to show that they're animals. And he even tells them after they buy the car, he's like, "If you have a problem with this, blah, blah, blah." He doesn't say, like, "Let me know if I can fix it." He says,
Yes.
"Let me know if I can buy, like, let me know if you're ready to buy another car."
No, yeah, he said, whenever you guys need another tire, come back and buy another one.
Yeah.
He's not, "I'll help you guys out." It's like, "Hey, come buy another one from me."
Yeah.
I noticed that. That's so fucked up. Just so greedy.
But that's the world that they're living in. These people have no idea the amount of money that they've really made. And so
I think
with that
they
being
do.
said,
They
like,
do have an idea, but they don't even have access to it all.
They don't have access to it, but like they just don't know like how much it is. So I would like to take this time to say hello, Scott Jordan.
Special guest Scott Jordan.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
How much money did they have?
I'll ask you this. I would like to know what was $100,000 at this point in time.
What point of time was it?
Because you keep hearing like 25,000, 50,000. You know.
No, well, that's fucking 30,000. 30,000 was the highest number we heard, I think.
No. You heard 100,000. Like,
Really? When?
I don't know, like at different points, but
they
like
said 30,000 for an insurance,
Yeah.
fire insurance.
Which would
Yeah.
be like $1 million probably.
But I think maybe
Well-
they might have said like 100,000 is like what Mollie might have been worth, or like what her head right was.
What's 100,000?
I gotta take this jacket off.
1,500,000.
Jesus. 1,500,000.
Yeah, just about.
That's insane. They have so much wealth they can't use it.
Yeah, I looked up why the government made them claim dependent, and it's because members of the Osage tribe were deemed incompetent to manage their own money.
Yeah, I
Kinda
do
like how
wonder
we
if that. I wonder if that law actually did help people. Some people definitely got fucked over with that rule, but I wonder if some of the like Indians that didn't understand money very well or didn't like try to understand it, that protected them afterward.
As far as the book said, it did not help them.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole point of it was like, again, like this weird little system to where they had access to all this money, but then they were assigned guardians.
Yeah.
And the guardians, and I think Martin was like kind of showing this in the way at the very beginning of the movie where Mollie was hearing that her mother was apparently buying $300 of mead, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And that's beer,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's to show that like guardians at that time were just like abusing the people that they were supposedly sponsored to take care of.
Was King? Was he guardian of everybody?
King was entirely different because he was in charge of the town. Like he was
Just like the mayor. Kinda.
He was like a mayor, but then he was also like the justice of the peace, and then he was also like the pastor for them. Like he was everything. He was like the head position of everything that they had going on in that town, which is why it didn't make sense to the people that like he could have possibly been linked to all the murders.
Well, his character that he plays for everybody in the town is this like loving, caring person. You know, he's always there to help out, always wants to fight the crime, but then secretly killing everybody who's, actually onto him.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. They got nuts.
Yes.
At what point in the movie were you thinking, holy shit, like, they've killed so many people? Like, this is insane.
Well, it really got bad. I mean, obviously it was bad the whole time, but it really got bad when they go to... Shit, what's the main character's name? What's Leo's character?
Ernest.
Ernest. When they tell Ernest straight up, hey, start to give her this. She's starting to go to protests and stuff. Let's slow her down a little bit. And he continues to give it to her. You're like, dude, what the fuck?
But
because it's crazy because Ernest actually seems like he loves his wife, but he also wants the money. He even says that line where he's like, I sure do love my wife, but I also love money almost as much as my wife.
Yeah, he says, I love that money. I love that money damn near just the same as I love my wife.
Yeah, so obviously he's all about the money, but then he also, I think he does actually care for his wife. And he just fucked up and did some dumb shit.
Yeah.
That's unforgivable.
He can't not do what someone tells him to do.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
That's insane.
His uncle has this authority because he understands that Ernest, his character, just came back from the military. When you're in the military, all you do is hear yes, no from the upper higher man.
That's a good point.
So when he gets sent back to the States, his uncle is the only person he knows, and his uncle immediately starts giving him orders.
He has him structure back in new life now. He's back from the war. He's in society. He's like, all right, here's your new life. This is how we're going to run things. But the worst thing
is that he justifies everything that he does.
Yeah.
And so Ernest, being the yes man that he is, whether it's right or wrong, it's the same thing as war. Like, he'll just listen to what the higher man has to say.
Yeah, he doesn't feel responsible because he doesn't feel responsible for doing anything bad because he's just taking orders. Like whenever at the very end of the movie, he doesn't even realize that he forgot about the diabetes shots with the poison in it. He totally forgot. She asked him, what was in my medicine? He goes, what? Because he said, I never would let them touch you or the kids. I would never let him get close. And she goes, okay, what was in my medicine? And he's like, what? And he lies to her because he's like, fuck. I did let it get in my house, but he doesn't feel like that. He doesn't immediately recognize it because he's not taking the responsibility of the actions because he just thinks he's just taking orders.
But that right there, that's like a conflicting thing about him. Because, and this is also according to the book, William Hale never told him directly that, like, he was poisoning her.
Right.
It was always like, I feel like I'm poisoning you. But, like, I don't know if I truly am. So, in a way, in the moment.
Okay, but see, your fucking wife's dying, and he's like, hey, put this little extra stuff in the pill. Make sure you put that shit in.
Yes. Because,
you're like, what?
Yeah, because he's thinking, there's no way my uncle is actually making me kill my wife.
He's also a dumbass, probably.
My uncle might be evil, but he's not making me kill her. Like, maybe he will kill her himself, and then I'll have to deal with it, but there's no way that he's, like, making me do it. And that's just him being manipulated by the way that his mind works. But at the same time, like, he does take the poison. Honestly, I don't know if that was mentioned in the book. I don't think it's, like, a prominent thing to, like, really focus on. That might have just been dramatic effect that Martin Scorsese was going for. But I think, this is just me, biased opinion.
Okay.
That the whole idea was Mollie was taking the medicine. She kept getting sicker.
Yeah.
She got off the medicine. Healthy. Now Ernest is starting to realize, like, oh shit, he was killing my family too and I didn't even know. And so he's telling her, I didn't know this, and he's, like, kind of being honest. He's not, like, totally honest.
He kind of knew it a little bit.
He could have said, I kind of suspected it. But in all reality, he did not know that that's what was happening.
He kind of did because he felt so bad to do it that he had to get pissed drunk to give her the shots now. At one point in the movie, he's, like, having to give her shots again, and he's
he takes a little bit.
He takes it.
That's not from the book.
Okay, but I'm saying the movie.
Yeah, okay, my bad.
It seems like in that he's, like, actually suffering and having to get really drunk in order to deliver the medicine because he knows deep down that this shit's killing her.
No, it seems like things had gotten so dark that he wanted to, like, test it out. So when he does give her the medicine and he takes a little bit of it, he still like doesn't know because it's like the next day.
No, but he does. He looks like shit. He looks just like her the next day.
That could just be a terrible, worse hangover. Like he doesn't know anything for certain.
But in the movie, they're gonna if they make him look just like her.
I'm telling you, yes, in the movie.
Yes.
But when she asks him, like, what was in that medicine, he doesn't know. He doesn't for sure know.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't know that.
And so that's the whole thing. Like, he was so lost and confused during this whole thing. Like, he kind of lost sight of, like, what was true. And I think that was, like, kind of the genius of it all.
Yeah, I mean, he was convincing himself of a lie.
William Hale wasn't totally keeping him in the loop about who he was going after.
No, and every bad action that he had, he was justifying it, and he's committing these bad actions. And if you're not truly an evil person and you're committing bad crimes and somebody's justifying it for you, you're likely going to just believe that because it makes your life a little easier, at least, up front. Deep down, you still feel like shit, and that's probably also why he's getting drunk all the time, because he just knows the horrible things that he's doing, and he knows there's so many people dying. But surface-level thoughts, he's able to just to kind of mask it and say, no, we're doing something good. We're doing something good here. King's giving us good orders. We're trying to protect the money and the family.
Well, and you got to start
Indians
thinking
die
about
young.
You got to start thinking about the fact that William Hale, he's a smart, conniving, maniacal man, and so he understands that his nephew has come back from war. And he asked him, he was like, did you ever see bloodshed? Like, immediately, as soon as he sits down, he's like, did you see bloodshed? Did you see murder? And he's like, I saw a little bit of it. He immediately hears that, and he's like, okay, well.
He's made for it.
Yeah, so, like, you can understand what it means to, like, see people die. But you also understand what it means to just take orders and not really second-guess it.
You think William Hale is just like a master genius?
He is a master genius.
He's like he's somebody that the 48 Laws of Power would have written about, a con man.
Yeah.
What if you keep reading that book and there's a chapter about
maybe there's like a quote just snuck in there about him?
Yeah.
I think like every time he talks, he was gaslighting somebody.
Yes.
Every line.
Even when he's praying at the end, he's kind of just like not. You kind of don't believe him with his prayers. He's just like he's just saying his prayers, and it's almost like he gaslights himself.
Well, because he's making Ernest feel like an idiot, damn near the whole time. Gaslighting, as Scott would say. Shout out Scott Jordan, appearing on this podcast.
I would just like to say, shout out to Gray for staying committed, because the Rangers just won the World Series tonight. So we had a couple glasses of wine.
I'm dedicated to my craft.
A couple whiskeys.
I'm dedicated to my craft.
75 hard changed him.
And I love CRWN Cinema.
Hell yeah. Are you going to go to the parade tonight?
The parade's not tonight.
Oh.
Parade's
you said there was like some shit going down tonight.
I mean, I'm sure the city of Dallas is going crazy right now, but the parade is not tonight. I'm sure the parade will be like Monday or Tuesday.
What's today? Why not this weekend? Why not Friday?
There's no time.
What do you mean there's no time?
There's no time. And honestly, I'm saying that because I'm not going to be home, or I'm not going to be in Dallas this weekend.
What a fucking fake fan.
I am a fake fan. Y'all have made me this way.
You check the score.
Doesn't matter.
That does matter.
If there's a parade this weekend, I'll be there.
You just said you wouldn't.
Yeah, well, now I'm saying I will be.
All right, back to the movie. Leonardo DiCaprio's acting is insane.
Yeah.
He can play a badass good guy and a horrible person. I like the shot at the end when we're back to that scene when he's talking about he realizes the medicine, or she asked him about what medicine were you giving me for my diabetes. And he lies to her and says insulin. And she...
It's not a lie, though.
But he knows he's not telling the truth.
He doesn't know.
He does.
He does not.
But he knows...
Because William did not directly tell him. So...
No, yes. But he knew that there was something... That stuff was bad. He knew that stuff was bad. When he said just insulin, you could see it in his face that he didn't believe what he said.
Agreed that he did not believe... pretty much was on the same page as his wife at that point. When she asked him that.
But he didn't. He could have said, if he was being truthful, he could have said, I don't know, but I was putting something in your medicine.
No, because the doctors were saying this was just going to help.
But he fucking knew. He took the shit and felt bad the next day. What do you think, Scott? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with you, Kade. He, like, every time he was asked to do something worse, he would you could see in his face that he was like, I don't know if I should do this, but he can't say no.
Agreed. So, I mean, we're kind of agreeing in the same way because he's so unsure of himself. Like, he doesn't know what's really happening at this point.
I know that, but
he wants to believe that his uncle, who's like the only living relative that he has, loves him, truly loves him, and would not actually conspire to make him murder his wife. And so, like, he's not directly involved with that.
I understand that, but when he said insulin, that's the only thing that was in your medicine, you could see on him that he did not believe what he said. He knew that he was not telling what she wanted to hear.
Right, because that's just how it was. Like, he's saying, like, insulin. But in reality, like...
But no, he's not saying that innocently. He's saying that he's being a liar.
It took him, like, 40 seconds to say insulin. You see him go through all these, like, emotions.
And she gets up and leaves, and he's confused and, like, frustrated that he just could not tell the truth in that moment.
Yes, agree. It's not telling the truth. It's like he knows that he's probably wrong, but as far as he knows, it really was insulin. Do you know what I mean? Like,
look, I see what you're saying from the book's perspective.
It's sketchy.
Yes.
Obviously, the whole situation is sketchy.
No, but he 100% knows it wasn't just insulin.
No, but the doctors that were, like, injecting the poison told him that it was okay.
I understand that, but he knows. Even if it was okay, he knows that wasn't just insulin. Even that he thought it was helping, he was still putting something else that was more than insulin.
The doctors told him that the other thing that they're pouring in there is helping.
I know, but that doesn't change the fact that he added something to the insulin. It's not just insulin now.
Yes.
So he lied to her. Because he said insulin.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying, is that he knew that he was putting some shit in there, and he thought that shit was probably bad, but he still decided to not take the responsibility.
He was trusting his uncle.
Yeah,
and the doctors.
And hoping he could maybe get out on one thing. Maybe he could get clear on just one little crime he committed.
Agreed. He did say insulin, so technically, yes, you're right. He's saying it was just insulin. That was the problem. But, like, at the end of the day, his conflicted truth is that the doctors told him that it was safe.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't want to take the responsibility, because he's like, well, I also didn't really know, but he also kind of knew deep down. So that's what I'm saying. His face, you can just see in his face and then acting when he leaves, whenever she leaves the room, when he admits that he only did insulin, air quotes, and he looks confused and conflicted with himself and kind of embarrassed that he just said that. He's like kind of disgusted with himself, it looks like, and the fact that he just couldn't tell her that he added something.
Because he had just said, my soul is clean.
Yes. And then it cuts to, exactly. And then it cuts to the sheriff or the FBI guy, and he like fixes his hat, and he's like, damn, bro, like you really, I just watched you do that, dude. We all know you just lied to us. Like, you are fucking down bad, bro. Like, are you serious? And he looks back and he's like, yeah, fuck. I'm a piece of shit. Damn. I really wanted to see some FBI fucking action, though. When they started to catch him, they started meeting up, and at the end, they start, like, filling in the story. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. We're going to see some fucking justice. But this is a sad story. There ain't no solid justice in this one.
What up, Scott?
No, I was gonna say what he just said. But I was going to ask what y'all thought about that long shot of him testifying in the courtroom.
How long was that shot? I mean, because it's just his face.
Harsh ass lighting, just like beating on the side of his face. He just looks so uncomfortable.
I mean,
that's pale.
That's Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, he's like the only one meant for that kind of scene.
Why?
Because I mean because it's just one shot. It is on his face the entire time for God knows how long.
See, that's why he's a fucking great actor, because he's able to fucking sit there and like just act like he's just getting the shit beat out of him in this court case. Just like, damn, admitting all of his failures and his years of just betrayal.
Yeah, because he keeps thinking, because he's manipulated the entire time. His uncle is telling him that this is just for the good of the family. This is what we have to do. And he's just a dumb soldier, like, listening to him. But then, like, as everything's going on in the courtroom, he's starting to realize, like, I might be a bad person.
Yeah, because
it's possible now.
Because he's now admitting
It's
it to himself. He's always, I feel like for his whole life doing this, not his whole life, but doing this thing, he's always just denied the fact that these things are bad. Even though if he were to honestly ask himself, he would say, yes, what I'm doing is horrible. And I know that I'm killing people, and I know this isn't good, and I know we're stealing money. But he's always just kind of denied it. And so this is like the first time that he's actually been like, fuck. Opening up his deep, darkest secrets and like, damn. All those dark thoughts that I had and all the depression and misery I've been in the past few years. Because it jumps a lot of time throughout the movie, right? It seems like it jumps years like, quickly.
You have to understand.
But he's
as nice and actually not nice, but as confused as Ernest, Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
It's a funny name. It's an
Ernest.
ironic name.
As confused as he seems, you still have to understand, he conspired to kill 2 of his wife's sisters.
Yeah.
He did that. That was him. How confused could you really be?
What was the justification for that? How did they trick him into doing that? What'd they say? Y'all remember?
They were about to get turned in. They hired like private investigators to like get into the murders, and then William, Robert De Niro's character, he was like, they gotta go because like it's just, it's their time to go.
Yeah. You know what's cool about this movie too is that King, he never actually was shown doing bad things. He was kind of shown saying some bad things and insinuating some bad things, but he never was caught doing it, and there was never a hammer down, you're guilty, because in real life, he went to prison, got out early, hung out in a retirement home for the rest of his life.
Yeah, but that's...
Really, there was no justice for him, so in the movie, you don't get to see any justice or really any hard confirmation. You know that happened, but like the payoff's like, damn, that sucks.
That's how it went, because he took advantage of people like a little bit lower than him.
Yeah.
That might have been like newer to the lands, because you have to understand, William Hale, the Osage people, they loved him.
Yeah.
Mollie herself admits to Leonardo DiCaprio's character that she's known William since she could remember. Like, he's just been around that long, to where he's just been like this established man. Like, a lot of the good things that have happened in their town were because of him. Like, he brought justice, order, he brought like better financial keeping,
advice,
all of that, everything.
Mentorship,
like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, he was a minister of the religion. I guess he might have. I think they were like Catholic at some point.
Catholic?
Yeah. Because like Mollie at one point asked Leo, she was like, what religion are you? And he said, Catholic. She said, well, I never see you at church.
Were they Catholic? Yeah.
Yeah. And so
I thought they were in the church where they were singing, they were using their language, saying some.
I think
Did
that
they just do.
I think that was because of William Hale King. I think he like was so kind of twisted that he even got them to like kind of not convert religion, but like kind of merge what they believed in to like what the white men of that time were believing in.
Yeah.
And so like that's how he justified everything. Cuz he kept saying during the movie, he was like, it's just not their time. They don't have that much longer. That's what God like wants from them. But really he's saying, I got a fucking hit on them, and they got like 2 months to live because my insurance on them expires or whatever.
Yeah. Or no, they need to live for they need to live for 3 more months so that way I can cash in. Then he can die.
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy seeing that guy's perception of people, or perspective of people, as just dollar signs. It's almost kind of like, it's like slavery but worse, because you're two-faced. You're friendly to them. You're friendly to them, but you're really just kind of using them and bringing people together just to take their money.
I think that's how a lot of people saw him, and that's like why law enforcement wouldn't help him out.
Yes.
Why? Because what?
Because they saw him as like lesser for being Native American.
Oh, yeah.
We have to understand.
Just another Indian dies. It's all right.
You have to understand, like, at that time, like, Oklahoma, they'd already been moved off of, I believe, 3 previous lands. After the government told them the first time, like, yeah, we're moving you to this land. We'll never move you again. Boom, 2 times. Boom, 3 times. But remember at the beginning of the movie, Robert De Niro told Ernest that these are sickly people.
Yeah.
But he's saying that because he's been poisoning them this entire time. They keep dying off. And you have to understand, like, in American history, white pox was the reason, or was it white pox or red pox? Like the
Smallpox?
Smallpox. Sorry.
Orange pox.
Blue pox. Smallpox is something that, like, killed off a majority of the Native Americans.
You can tell you know what you're talking about.
I said, yeah. White people landed and they, like, killed off the Indians because of smallpox. And so Robert De Niro's character, William Hale, he's essentially, like, kind of blaming that. He was like, these people are just sick.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, they're just dying off from illness. And he's capitalizing off of that because he's the one that's actually been poisoning them, because prohibition is so prominent at this time. You can't go to a bar and get a drink. You have to go sneak away to a back road.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do that multiple times during the movie. You have, like, these white men telling these Indians, like, yo, let's go get some moonshine and some girls. Let's go to this back road. I know a place. And that's why it's so easy to just get away with murder.
Yeah. I mean, there's no
law and order at this time, because the government, the FBI, it's not even real.
Yeah. No, it's not. It didn't exist.
Yeah.
But what's crazy about them being sickly people is that, like, they live in that town, and there's so many, like, dessert restaurants in the beginning, if you notice. And then there's a shot of a little girl. They're, like, an Indian mother is feeding her Indian daughter, and she's giving her a piece of pie, and the daughter, like, turns from it. Like, she's like, I don't want to eat that shit. Because that's what kills him. And her pure innocence of just knowing what she knows, she's like, I don't want to eat that shit.
Yeah.
Her face, like, turns like it's gross vegetables.
Oh, yeah, because they said, Ernest said that she had diabetes as well, the daughter.
Yeah, so it's like all that sugar and shit, their bodies can't handle it.
Yeah.
So the little kid dips out. Dips out of that bite.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. That's good.
Yeah, that's how you know Scorsese's a fucking master, dude. There's so many little details like that. But did you notice anything special on the second watch?
Come back to me.
All right. Was the second watch better than the first watch?
I think so.
Because now you see all the conniving. I'm glad that you told me about the book in the beginning, so I could see all the conniving stuff. Because
you get to see the wolves in sheepskin.
Yeah, you get to see. Yeah, you see what they're doing, and you see some of it of Robert De Niro's facial expressions in the beginning. That's probably a good thing you probably noticed in the beginning. Because I only knew it because you told me about the story in the first half of this episode.
So it would be wild maybe to see this movie without not really knowing, like, what's going on.
Yeah, I wonder if it's I wonder if from the get-go you know it's airy. Did you, your first time watching it, not knowing anything, did you think that they were innocent, or what was your thoughts about the characters?
No, you can tell.
Yeah, because in the first scene,
yeah,
it is kind of airy, like, the whole time.
He tells him, he was like, "That's good business."
Yeah.
Okay, like getting the headstones, like they do make it very clear, so it's not like a crazy spoiler alert.
Because that conversation when they're talking about the wealth they could get by dating somebody, they're like not saying it, but they're talking around it, just like, and it's so gross hearing them talk about how they're gonna just get the money. It's like, well, you know, if they die, you get the money.
Yeah.
So
you get the head rights. And so, like,
if something were to happen to them, you can become rich as fuck.
Yeah. Yep. And I think I said this during the movie to you at one point. Like, so there's a scene where Ernest is saying that Mollie is pregnant with their second child.
Mm-hmm.
And King is disappointed because he realizes that the head writes, like, they go to Ernest, sure, but like he still has 2 more kids that they're also going to go to. So he's mad, and guess what? He killed off one of the kids. Unless actually, there's no direct correlation to like the child dying to Will, right?
Yeah, she had whooping cough.
She just passed away from like actual illness.
Probably was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remembered something that I noticed the second time that I didn't notice the first time. When he was talking to him about having that kid, and he's like pissed as fuck that she's pregnant. He's like, "You sleeping with your wife while she's sick like this?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's like what you do with your wife." And then he's like, "Must be your own perversion." Just like gaslighting him again.
Yeah.
You know, being like, that's fucked up that you're having sex with your wife right now.
And that scene's so uncomfortable watching Robert De Niro like kind of start getting upset.
Not be happy.
Because you know he's evil the whole movie from the first conversations. And then he never breaks that character being the nice guy, being the sweet guy that's there for everybody. He never breaks it. You always know it's an act, but this is the first time that you see him not play that character very well. Yeah, you're like, oh, fuck.
You see the 2 girls at the dinner table like being ecstatic at the fact that like she's pregnant with a second child. And he's just sitting there just mad.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just angry.
And with him being nice the whole movie, he's done horrible things that you know he's the root cause of. So when you see him actually upset, you're like, oh shit, what the hell is he going to plan now? He's like, is he going to kill that girl? And she definitely died. He definitely killed her.
I don't think he killed the little girl. There was no direct link to her dying.
There's no direct link to a lot of people dying.
Which is true. Yeah.
Like, a lot of suicides from the back of the head. A lot of 2 bullets in the head suicides.
All you had to do was shoot him in the front of the head. I told you. That's what you had to do. I know. That's what I told him to do.
Yeah, but after months, you're like, I forgot.
Yeah.
And you became buddies with the guy. They were like, they were drinking buddies.
Which brings me to something. So in the book, that's like not talked about, or no, that's talked about a lot.
Their friendship?
No. The fact that he was shot in the back of the head.
Okay.
And it went to the windshield.
Right.
And the police report describes that. It says in the police report, suicide, but there was a fucking bullet like in the front of the windshield, but like
no gun.
Yeah, but like they just wrote it off as suicide. And so the FBI got involved and they were like, "Wait, what did you just say to me? Are you telling me that he did this? He did this.
Yeah.
Pulled the trigger, and now the gun's gone? Like there was no gun sight? Like
the recoil was insane."
Yeah, and so like that's why like the FBI started to get involved, because it just didn't make sense. And it was the same thing with Anna, Mollie's sister, that died in the river. They also tried to pawn that off as a suicide because she was, you know, I'm trying to think of like a nice way to say this, but like she was a wild girl.
Yeah.
And she liked to drink, and she liked to party, and she, you know, she slept around with some of the white guys.
Well, just like King said, he's like, well, she carries a gun around, and she's going to pick a fight with somebody, sooner or later, they're going to fight back.
So they took it that way, but the problem was with that is that they did try to plant that as suicide. Mm-hmm. There's a gun at the scene.
Yeah.
To make it seem like she killed herself, but the way that she killed herself was...
Yep.
And that makes sense. But the authorities at that point were also trying to make their buck from William Hale. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until Edgar Allan Hoover.
I don't know.
Edgar Hoover, future president of the United States, not president at the time, said it doesn't make sense. Like, we at least have 2 murders that do not make sense.
Yeah.
Edgar J. Hoover.
Wait, this is wrong.
It
It is Hoover, though.
I know
Last
it's
name
Hoover.
Hoover.
I know
Who's
it's
President Calvin Coolidge?
No, it's Edgar something Hoover.
Joe Biden.
Herbert.
Herbert
what?
Hoover.
It's not Edgar Hoover?
Herbert.
Herbert and Edgar sound pretty similar if somebody's talking in a southern accent.
I was meaning Edgar Allan Poe.
You fucking...
Hoover at the time.
Go Rangers.
Go Rangers. Hoover at the time realized that, like, there were at least 2 murders that did not make sense.
Yeah.
Because they claimed them as suicide, but the bullet was either not found or, like, you could tell that the bullet went through the back of the head.
And that shit actually happens today still. There was, like, I don't know the details of the story, but there was, like, a suicide, some guy, government guy that, you know, somebody didn't like. He committed suicide by hanging himself and shooting himself in the middle of the chest with a shotgun. That's how he committed suicide. Yep. He shotgun to the chest and hung himself. You're like, well, are you sure?
How did he do that?
Or there's somebody, like, there's times where you see a news story where somebody committed suicide with 2 gunshots in their head. You know, it's like, damn. So that kind of stuff has happened, confirmed, and still happens today.
Yeah. Yep.
What'd you think of Hale rounding up all the people who could talk and basically sending them to get caught or die?
You kind of have to at that point. I mean, you can't be leaving anything up to chance. Every white person in that town was there.
Yeah.
Evil white people.
But like the guy,
evil whites.
like Blackie and the guy who with the explosives,
Yeah.
how he like set them up. You know, he like gave people inside info and then sent them on a job.
So remember, he told Blackie, this guy has a store that you could rob, and
Yeah.
he's got a lot. But then he told this owner of the store, like, hey, there's like 3 people coming to rob you. And then they killed them.
Just planting. Just planting.
Scheming. And
hard.
that's how he got locked up. And he's there for years, and then he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand. He's like, how the fuck could that owner have possibly, like, known that, like, we were coming? And he doesn't know until he realizes that William Hale is apparently the conspirator for, like, all these murders in the Osage tribe.
That's so
And then he
wild.
he's like, holy shit, I got set up. He says, well, now what kind of deal was that? What kind of deal was that?
We got the president wrong. It was Calvin Coolidge.
At the time, but who was after that?
No. Hoover wasn't president yet.
He came in late. They just said, like, that's why King said, I haven't heard of him yet. I don't know that man.
Yeah, he did. He wasn't president yet.
That's because, was he one of the good guys, I guess?
I mean, he founded the FBI.
Yeah, the FBI has gone downhill rather quickly.
How so?
They've been caught, like, setting people up and, like, causing, like, making people commit crimes to then catch them.
Now they got to make a new system.
There's a presidential candidate that wants to disband the FBI. John Edgar Hoover.
He started he's not a president though.
That's where I got Edgar Allan Hoover.
We are so good at
John
history.
Edgar Hoover. That's what I meant.
Oh, that's what you meant? That is what you meant. But
I did say Edgar Hoover.
You said Edgar J. Hoover.
You're right the whole time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Scott. So, okay. As far as a movie, how do you think? It's a 3-hour... Little 3-hour movie.
Go into what we said when it was like if it was gonna be slow or fast. I did not feel like this was a slow paced movie. I thought it was getting after it. There was no slow parts where I was bored. Like I was locked in that whole movie, and it wasn't action packed by any means, but it was interesting the whole time. And there were some times where you're like, it's not even a crazy scene, but it's just a conversation, and you're on the edge of your seat, like, oh fuck.
Now that might be because you did understand that it was like wolf and sheepskin, and so maybe that helped. Because
Probably.
I might have told you, or maybe that was because like you picked up on the first scene that like these are bad people. So no matter what you see as far as like good acting to make it seem like it's genuine, you know that it's bad. Was that a factor?
I don't know, because it definitely is eerie the whole time. So, you kind of know they're bad the whole time, I think.
Right.
But knowing some of the facts and seeing that play out from what you told me, it definitely did help the experience, probably, because you get to,
right.
You're nervous.
I think the biggest part of this movie, the book, the story, is seeing Ernest. My bad. Sorry, we're still stuck on
Herbert?
presents. You get to see Ernest's like conflict of interest because he starts realizing that like what he's doing is bad, but he does love his wife.
Yep.
Like he's sad that like all of this is happening because he understands like the overall mission, but he still doesn't want to like lose his wife and be like a bad man. Like
Yeah, he loves his wife, but he also loves money equally. So he's like,
yeah.
He kind of just ignores. He's kind of ignoring everything that's going bad just because he can have both right now. He's got both. He's able to have his wife and gonna continue to make a lot more money.
I mean, shit. He tells her on the first date, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, I love to sleep all day and party all night."
But he was just fucking around with her.
That's
Maybe
not
he was
like,
being truthful, but when he said it, I felt like he
think
was
he
fucking
is
around
being
with her.
honest because what kind of a pickup line is that?
Because she said, "You just want my money." He said, "Well, I do love to sleep around and just do nothing all day."
She did say that, but like, she's no dummy.
That's what they do. That's what the Indians do, though. Because remember, they kept talking about all the white people were jealous because the Indians weren't working. That's why they overcharged them, because they were already rich from their oil money and were living off the oil money that they had on their land. And so they were just like overcharging. And so the white people were jealous that they didn't work. So I think that maybe that's also why he said that. Because he's like, hey, I love doing that too. Like poking fun at the stereotype that everybody has. And she laughs at it because she knows doesn't mean it with any malintent. He's just kind of saying it nicely. Flirting a little bit.
But like dating Mollie at this point is like dating a Kardashian now. Like
I
Kim
guess.
Kardashian would say something along the lines like, "Well, I know you just want me for the money or the fame." And if you say anything differently, she's just going to know you're lying. So you may as well be honest, like Ernest. Like, well, I mean, yeah, I mean that.
You don't think guys hook up with Kim K for more than just her money?
I'd be damned. I would be damned.
I bet money's second.
Okay.
You don't think they want to guys that hook up with
I
Kim
get what
Kardashian?
you're saying.
Yes.
I get where you're going. But like overall, like if you were
If they're trying to get a relationship, they want that fame and money for sure.
Yes. Like Ernest.
Like Kanye.
No, Kanye was
I'm
already
kidding.
Kanye.
I know.
We're going down a rabbit hole right
Yeah.
now. But I'm just trying to say, like, Ernest kind of played his cards right, saying, like, well, yeah, I mean, obviously the money sounds awesome. But, like, I want to sleep all day, party all night. Like, fuck yeah, that's what I want to do. But, like, I won't kill anybody.
Psych. All right. What do you rate this movie?
What do I rate this movie? It's tough, considering I read the book.
Dude, you got to separate them in your head.
I know. That's why I said it was tough, but it is a little tough.
I'm sure it was awesome seeing the humanity get brought out, like you said in the beginning, the humanity getting brought out of the book. You see like all the facts from the book, and then you see just how painful those facts actually are.
He did a good job. You know what the problem is? There was a problem from the book to the movie.
Here we go.
In the book, they really like showed who Tom White was, which is played by Jesse P.
What's his last name?
Fat Damon.
What's his name, Scott? Can you look him up? We keep forgetting.
Pontana?
No. Plemons.
It's Jesse Plemons.
There it is.
Jesse Plemons. In the book, Jesse Plemons is playing Tom White. That's who Jesse Plemons is playing. And the book does a really good job of describing who Tom White is. His dad was a sheriff. I think his grandpa was a sheriff. Tom's brothers were also sheriffs. Like, he was like from a family of law.
Lawman.
They
probably caught Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Potentially. But in the movie,
he was a Texas Ranger.
He was a Texas Ranger.
That's pretty badass.
Yes.
He probably fought some Comanches.
He did. He had some badass stories. Like, in the book, they like go on to describe. There's like a whole, probably like 60, 70 pages just describing like who Tom White is.
And that motherfucker's a badass.
Badass. I mean, like, survived so many gunfights, survived so many prison breaks, all of this. But in the movie, he's not a prominent character because they shifted the focus to Ernest and Will, which the book did not. And so I kind of like that. I was like, okay, I wanted to know what it would be like for Ernest to actually like somehow marry an Osage.
Yeah.
I wanted to know how fucked up the relationship really was with Ernest and King. And so, like, that was nice. But, like, I was hoping that Tom White would get the recognition that he deserved.
Yeah, I think it's just so much information and so much happens. It's got to be, like, there's not enough time.
It is. And so obviously the movie focused more on that.
Yeah.
Than they did Tom.
Well, so, okay.
Which is totally different than the book.
I heard this. Originally, the first draft of the script was going to be about Tom, and DiCaprio was going to be Tom White, and it was going to be a hero story about the FBI coming back and saving the Osage. But they didn't want to make it about that. They wanted to make it more about the Osage people, so they changed the script to focus more on that.
Yeah, so, which you definitely see that in the movie because, like, in the book, Tom White talks about his life, and then it talks about, like, how much turmoil he had to go through, like all the court dates and everything. The movie didn't like depict that as well as the book did.
But I was thinking about when I watched him about how much time he spends on this case, having to go undercover, hanging around a town, not having his family with him if he had one.
Years.
Having to be with
he did have a family,
Ernest the whole time. Yeah,
I did have a family. Yeah.
Having to be with Ernest the whole time, walking him around, taking places because you gotta,
Well, no, and something that they didn't touch on. But they touched on at one point was that Ernest kept saying that he didn't know anything about it, like in the court. Like in the fashion that he did, he was like, I'd like to talk to my lawyer one more time. He did that multiple times before he finally came to court and testified.
Yeah, because he kept hearing people say, like, do you really want to go to prison? He's like, I mean, not really.
It wasn't even that. It was because he had like the fear that King, William Hale, was like going to kill his family. Because obviously he knew that he had the power to do that. He'd already helped him out, like do it enough to realize that like William Hale probably had like more associates to like get that kind of job done.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely does. Ernest knows firsthand.
Yeah. And so the movie doesn't depict that well enough, but how can you at this point? Because like you've kind of broken down like who Mollie is, who her family is, like what she believes in, like, and Ernest, who's like a very just distraught husband from war, was just thrown into this world and like somehow hit the lottery. Like he doesn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah.
So the book didn't do that good of a job with that. the movie did, and I was happy to see that. I will give this movie a 7.
What? A 7? You are literally the worst grader of all time. You just make... oh, my God. A 7, bro? A 7?
Wow.
That's
The
insane.
disrespect.
That's insane. Please explain.
What'd you give Oppenheimer?
4.
No,
I'm
I
kidding.
did not.
Might as well. What'd you give Oppenheimer?
I don't know. I
Okay.
forgot.
What do you think is the best movie of the year is going to be?
Of this year?
Yeah. So far.
The Meg 2.
I haven't seen that many. The Meg.
What's your favorite movie that we've watched together? Oh, I know. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yes.
Is your favorite? You
Yeah.
watched. All right, Scott, what do you give this movie after that just disrespectful 7?
I'm going to say a 9.
9?
And I think what's missing...
What you got? Sorry.
What's missing is I love a really satisfying soundtrack. And it just wasn't. It wasn't a perfect soundtrack, in my opinion.
I don't even remember the music, to be honest. Actually, no, I do remember one time the music kind of made you feel a little intense. I think it was...
They were playing Osage music damn near the whole movie.
Not the whole movie, but sometimes.
Damn near.
9? All right, that's pretty solid. I'm giving this an 8.5.
It's your God-given right.
It was nice seeing a movie where the government wasn't the bad guy and the FBI was actually doing a good thing. Like the government and the FBI actually stepped in to help.
Well, there's levels to that.
In the movie,
Because the state government did not help them.
I'm saying, but the federal government and the FBI actually doing something good for their first mission is like nice to see. Because always you see the FBI doing some shady shit. And you're like, man, fuck the government, fuck the FBI. Like they're just criminals, essentially, legal criminals. But then you see the FBI here, and you're like, thank God they stepped in and saved these people, just getting killed by this cult leader. He's pretty much cult leader, essentially.
Okay. 8.5. It's a nice score.
What did you not like about the movie?
I think I've already said. Like they didn't do Tom White's character justice that I thought he deserved.
Okay, but you can't base the movie off of that because you have to think about just what's this story and what's this movie about, and was that story of this movie good?
Okay, well then I'm still standing by that. The FBI came in and you didn't really get like a big indicator on like why that they were just like the big boys, like why they all of a sudden like had more power than the Justice Department of the state.
I'd argue
or the
you
town.
just know the FBI is powerful, so you don't really got to tell people. FBI steps in, you're like, okay,
because the movie makes it very clear that like they were like the FBI, huh?
But it is still
They
the
did
FBI.
not know who the FBI was.
They don't, but we do. So they don't got to explain the FBI's power, but you know the FBI's power.
No, you don't, because in the movie they like do not understand. They're
You're
like,
right.
what is the FBI?
They don't, but we do.
I'm saying as far as like seeing it as like the story goes, like they did not understand the gravity of what the
Yes.
FBI did. They rushed through the court cases. They rushed through like the arresting processes. Besides detaining Ernest, other than that, like the arrests, like you don't really get to see them. You never even see them interrogate William Hale.
But I think that's obviously on purpose because they don't want you to feel like you don't want a satisfying ending because in real life there's no satisfying ending to the story. So it's staying true to the story by showing like, hey, and the ending rushes through the ending. They don't even show you what happens. They just tell you what happens.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel good. And it's like a staged thing. And it's kind of like, yeah, it sucks. This story sucks. You're not going to have a happy ending. There's no like awesome, badass cinematic ending that's like heroic. The story's like shitty.
Yeah.
These people still died. There wasn't that much justice.
While I can agree with like the tactic that you're using, I think it would have been more useful if they had shown them interviewing William Hale and seeing him deny all of this
Sure.
in court on the stand when you know after what you've just seen, you've seen him tell all these people to like give the hits. Okay? But like to see him on the stand and say that he didn't do any of this and still not get like as big of a conviction as you would like to see, like that would have been more powerful to me.
But it's more impactful because you don't feel good after. You're like, damn.
Yes, but I'm saying it. You would have felt even worse if you had actually seen him on the stand lying through his teeth rather than not see him at all.
Maybe.
Which is what they did in this movie.
Maybe if you saw him lying through his teeth, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That's what I think. It's my God-given right.
All right. Scott, do you have any final words about Killers of the Flower Moon?
Nope. That's about it.
I definitely recommend it. It's a badass movie.
I would
it's
recommend.
Really good.
I would. 7 out of 10 is a good score in my head. That's 3 stars less than perfect. So.
But 5 is average. It's only 2 above average.
So 7 out of 10.
You're on the bottom half
of
you're on the bottom half of being really, really good to being average.
Interesting math.
That's true. That's the correct math.
That's your math. 7 out of 10 sounds like a 70%. Like, it's a good movie.
Okay, but 0 is like a piece of, like, this movie shouldn't even be a thing. Like, it's like literally just like filmed on a potato.
Yeah.
10 is greatest movie of all time, no mistakes. Every single thing you've ever wanted in a movie is there.
And you're giving it an 8.5.
Yeah.
Okay, but I just gave you a 7 out of 10 and explained why I did not think that it was near that score.
But you think it's closer to being an average movie than closer to being a great movie?
That's what I said. Yeah.
You're such a liar.
I'm not a liar. I explained it. You can go back and listen to what I said.
You're like a fucking...
You can go back and listen to what I said. Like, I'm annoyed.
You're in denial, like, what's his name? Ernest. Yeah.
You can think that, but at the same time, like, I told you that I am a little annoyed that they did not show more of the process of court. I thought that was, like, a big thing that should have been more addressed. William Hale was obviously guilty, but we never once saw him on the stand. We never once saw him in investigation explaining how he wasn't guilty. I think that's a big factor that should have been thought through. What you got, Scott?
You do get to see him talking to the main FBI guy, Plemons, when he's getting his shave, and he's like giving all the reasons like how people got murdered.
That was an initial investigation. That was him literally introducing himself to William Hale, saying, I'm an FBI agent, I'm from the government. And William Hale was like, well, you should talk to the Justice. And like he was just like, oh, I'll come back at a later time. He definitely came back a later time, and we didn't see that on the screen.
Yeah, but it's not a court. It's not like a legal proceeding movie. You know, it could have been about a court case movie. There's so much to a court case that like whole entire movies are based around one court case.
I agree. But
so
I'm
this
saying,
is more about the people and like what happened to the people.
I'm saying that they could have probably like cut down on more of, and this could sound bad, but I'm saying that like they could have cut down on like the personal choice of like going for like the human emotion aspect of like what the Osage people were going through during that time. Like they could have cut down on that and shown how evil these people really were.
Okay. They should have cut down on all the humanity and the Indians and just showed how badass Tom White was. Just kidding.
You're laughing.
That's funny.
I thought you were going there. I thought you were going to say, I just wish they would have made Tom White more badass.
No, not how badass he was, but just showing like how evil William Hale really was. Because at the end of the day, you understand from the beginning of this movie that he's an evil person. You understand that he's the mastermind of everything. But they did not once, towards the end, show, like, they never held him accountable for all the murders. Like, you never see that in the movie. You can go off of that after the end of the movie when you start, like, totaling up the death counts and all that. But, like, he's never put on the stand and, like, told, were you a part of this? Did you mastermind this? The bombing, the killing of Anna, the killing of Henry, his supposed best friend, mind you. They never did that.
But I know, because seeing that would have given you a payoff of like victory. But in this story, there's really no victory.
But it's not, because he was so well spoken that like he could have twisted it, and that would have been like a bigger like mind thing. But then like you leave the theater, you're like, no. He was a part of it. Like he was the mastermind of it. And so like you talk about how messed up it is that he got off like living in a nursing home when he was 86 years old. But you don't see how messed up it is because you never get to see you never get to see him talk his way out of it. Not once.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, like you see Ernest in the prison being a nervous little nephew. He was just thrown in this like confusing world that he had no idea about. He had just gotten back from a fucking war. But all of a sudden you don't understand how messed up it is that William Hale masterminded the whole thing and then still plays it to the fact that A, he's innocent, and B, it's still God's plan.
You just made me think of something.
Yeah.
Last thought here. In the beginning, when he's talking about, have you seen, whenever William Hale's like, have you seen bloodshed? I said a little bit. I was a cook. He briefly mentions, I've seen more people die of the flu. He's seen people die slow and sick, so he's used to being around sick people that are dying slow. So he's seeing all these people that are sick. He just got off the war seeing everybody being sick, so it's not that different for him. It's not like a urgent, like, oh my God, you look horrible. Like, we didn't take you to the doctor.
Yeah.
He's seen his whole fucking army like looking like that for a long time.
I thought that at the beginning as well. Damn it. I should have taken a note.
I didn't notice that.
Because, like, obviously he's going to incorporate it. He was like, how did they die? And he was like, well, I mean, flu for the most part. Like, did you see bloodshed? Yeah, a little bit. Well, how many people did you see die? Flu for the most part. And so he hears that, and his little twisted mind is like, well, if that's what you're used to, then that's the world I'll just give you here.
It's nasty.
Good pickup.
It's horrible. All right. Any final thoughts?
I think this is one of our best podcasts yet.
Go Rangers.
Go Rangers.
All right. Thank you all for listening, and we're out.